Hi, this is Walter Stone, and this is Unit 7, Lesson 4, Solving Rational Equations. And after finishing this lesson, you should be able to solve equations involving rational expressions. So, a rational equation is an equation which contains one or more rational expressions. So like 4 over x equals 5 over 2x plus 3. That's a rational equation because it has rational expressions in it. Also, x minus 2 over 2x plus 1 equals x plus 1 over x. That's another example where we have an equation with rational expressions in it. The main way to solve these equations is to multiply both sides of the equation by the LCM of the denominators. And we clear the denominators, and then we can solve the equation using methods that we've learned so far in the course. And in your algebra background. So suppose we want to solve x plus 3 over 6 minus x minus 2 over 4 is equal to 3. So if I look at 6 and 4, what we get as a least common denominator is 12. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by 12, and I'm going to make sure that I distribute. So I need to take the 12 times the x plus 3 over 6 minus the 12 times the x minus 2 over 4. So 6 goes into 12 twice, so I'll have 2 times x plus 3. 4 goes into 12 3 times, so I'll have minus 3 times x minus 2, and 12 times 3 is 36. So now I can solve the equation like I usually do. I simplify both sides, and I make sure I get the variable on one side and all my numbers on the other side. So I distribute 2 times x plus 3 gives me 2x plus 6. Negative 3 times x minus 2 gives me negative 3x plus 6. And that's equal to 36. The left-hand side simplifies to negative x plus 12. And I can subtract 12 from both sides, so negative x equals 24, and then I can take the opposite of both sides to get x to be positive. So the opposite of minus x is x, the opposite of 24 is negative 24. Okay, so try using this method with the try this problem on your learning guide. Solve this problem, pause the video, solve the problem, and then come back, and we can check our solutions together. So here I looked at 4, 14, and 7, and 4 is 2 squared, and 14 is 2 times 7. So I took the LCD to be 2 squared times 7, which is 28, so I multiplied both sides by 28. 4 goes into 28 7 times, so I'll have 7 times the numerator x minus 3. 14 goes into 28 twice, so I'll have 2 times 5. 7 goes into 28 4 times, so I'll have minus 4 times x plus 5. We can simplify both sides. So 7x minus 21 equals 10 minus 4x minus 20. And the right-hand side simplifies to negative 4x minus 10. We can add 4x to both sides to get x on one side. So we have 11x minus 21 equals negative 10. Then we can add 21 to both sides to get the variable 11x on one side. And we have 11 on the right-hand side. And we divide both sides by 11, and we get x equal to 1. Okay, so multiplying both sides by 28 and making sure to distribute and simplify is really important when solving these types of equations. So here we have an equation where now we have a variable in the denominator. So we have to be a little bit careful. When we solve this, we know that if x were 0 in the denominator, we can't divide by 0. So we just have to be really careful that when we solve this equation, if we get 0, then we may have to conclude that this equation would have no solution. So we just want to kind of think about that. The LCD is going to be 5 times 2x, so we'll have 10x. So we can multiply both sides by 10x. And when we do that, the x's cancel. We get 10 on the left-hand side. When we distribute the 10x on the right-hand side, we'll get 2x plus 5 times 3, which will be 15. We can subtract 15 from both sides. We get negative 5 equals 2x. And then we can divide both sides by 2 to get negative 5 halves equal to x. And negative 5 halves is not equal to 0, so we're okay in terms of restrictions. We have, if we put negative 5 halves back into x, this equation should check. That's another thing we should think about doing. Okay, so pause the video and solve this equation, and then come back and see if your solution matches my solution. So here I had a 2x and 18 and a 3x. Both 2 and 3 go into 18, so I chose 18x as my LCD. So I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by 18x. 2x goes into 18x 9 times. 9 times 5 is 45. On the right-hand side, when I take 18x times 17 over 18, the 18's cancel and I get 17x. 3x goes into 18x 6 times, so we'll get minus 6 when we take 18x times negative 1 over 3x. So now we have 45 equals 17x minus 6. We can add 6 to both sides. We get 51 equals 17x. And then we can divide both sides by 17. And 51 divided by 17 is 3. So 3 is the solution. 3 is not 0, so we're okay with the restriction. So we do get a solution to the equation that we can check back in to the original. So here we have the equation x over x minus 3 equals 3 over x minus 3 plus 9. So the LCD is x minus 3. Also, we need to make the restriction that x is not equal to 3, because 3 would, if we put 3 in for x in the denominator, we would get 0. So we just want to be careful when we solve this. If we get x equal to 3, then the equation won't have a solution. So we just want to be careful about that. So we can multiply both sides by x minus 3 and simplify. On the left-hand side, the x minus 3's cancel and we get x. And on the right-hand side, we have to distribute the x minus 3 to both of these terms. So when I multiply x minus 3 by 3 over x minus 3, the x minus 3's cancel and we get 3. And then the 9 has to be multiplied by x minus 3. The right-hand side simplifies to 3 plus 9x minus 27, which is equal to 9x minus 24. So we can subtract 9x from both sides. X minus 9x is minus 8x, and we have negative 24 on the right-hand side. We can divide both sides by negative 8, and x is equal to 3. So here we talked about we're getting a solution that is not really admissible because that makes the denominator of these two fractions 0. So we can't divide by 0. So in the end, we say that a solution does not exist because of that restriction. X cannot be 3. So sometimes this happens. We solve an equation and it turns out we don't have a solution because the number that we get is not in the domain of these functions that we're working with. So we just want to be on the alert for that, and we just say that the solution set is the empty set or the equation has no solution. So try this equation. Make sure to note the restriction on the variable. Pause the video and then come back and check your solution with my solution. So here I said that if I try putting 2 in the denominator here, I'll get 0. Same thing here. So our restriction is that x cannot equal 2. I see that I need a factor of 3 and a factor of x minus 2 for the LCD, and I multiplied both sides of the equation by that. So on the left-hand side, the x minus 2's cancel, and I get 3 times x. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to distribute the 3 times x minus 2 to the 2 over x minus 2 and the 2/3. And when I do that, the x minus 2's cancel, 3 times 2 is 6, minus the 3's cancel, and I'll have 2 times x minus 2. So I simplify both sides, and I'm getting 3x equals negative 2x plus 10 on the right-hand side. I can add 2x to both sides to get 5x equal to 10, and then divide both sides by 5, and I get x equal to 2. So now I'm getting I have another equation where 2 is not allowed. We have to restrict, we'll have a solution if x is not equal to 2. So it turns out that this equation is another example that does not have a solution in this case. So we tried to get a solution, but we cannot divide by 0. So we say that we have no solution to this equation. Okay, so try working on the written exercises and your online homework that pertains to this section, and we will see you in class. Take care.